What is up, everybody? It's Obscure Reference back at it again. We got some triple movie review thing coming at you. So,
Ranking.
Kung Fu Panda 4 comes out this weekend, and in preparation for that, we decided to go back rewatch the first three, give our thoughts, opinions, our rankings. Some might say, not everyone though. Most people call it a review or a discussion, but I guess we could technically refer to it as a ranking. So yeah, Kung Fu Panda 1 is unnecessarily good. Like, it
Wow.
has no business being as good as it is. There's a lot of heart and soul. Those animated scenes where, what's the bad guy's name? Tai Lung?
Tai Lung.
Tai Lung.
Yeah. When
He's
he
got a very
breaks out of
large lung.
prison, that scene's phenomenal. The whole thing with Master Shifu being the one who created the villain and the one who frees him while not intending to do either of it is just great poetic justice. Poe goes under a really believable character arc. All in all, I like this movie. Okay, I respect this movie more than I like this movie. Like, there's a lot of good behind it, and despite all that, like, it makes me laugh, especially the first time I heard the whole like secret ingredient soup reveal. But it doesn't resonate with me. Again, that being said, I have a lot of good things to say about it. It just doesn't connect with me personally.
Yeah. This is one I saw in the theater, and I'm kind of with John. Like, even when I saw it in theater, I was like, that was really good. And I was a dumb, stupid kid back then. So, like, the fact that it got me saying it then means something. But watching it again recently, I'm like, yeah, no, this movie still rocks. This movie is still awesome. It's a by the books, by the numbers hero's journey by every definition, but it just does it so well, and it's just you learn to love Poe and you learn to root for him. So that Master Shifu's finally like, okay, I will teach you kung fu. I'm like right there crying along with Poe, and he's like, don't cry. He's like, okay. Um, but Tai Lung's a great villain. It's the message is a really good one. Um, could we do without the fat jokes? Maybe, but this was also a product of the time, so whatever. But all in all, really good fighting, choreography, action, great
Mhm.
message, great animation, good movie. Good job, Jack Black.
I think that all three of these movies are all better, good or better. Um, I think Kung Fu Panda is, like you said, the most standard hero's journey. I think like the first half to three quarters of this movie are so standard that they're kind of just okay. I mean, it's well animated. You know, the voice acting is really good, but I'm just kind of like, yeah, I know what's happening. And then once Master Oogway dies, I think that the first movie starts to pick up. We get to do some fun stuff with the training. We get the fun Poe learning to train with food, like the substandard way, not substandard, the unusual way to train for his unusual type. I think that the end fight uses a lot of the world and the things that they learn over this to like a good effect. I really think that Tai Lung is the best of the villains of the entire three movies. I but realistically, I think this one is good, not great. And for me, it lands third on the list for sure.
Oh. So, all right, I'm gonna push back
I
a
was
little.
muted for that, but I said really.
Yeah.
Well, listen. All right, I agree that Tai Lung's a really good villain. He's
Mhm.
not my favorite though, but it's close. Saying that it is close. Um, But I do agree. I like all the callbacks they have throughout this movie, like in a final fight, like especially with like the stilts, and he's just messing with Tai Lung like that.
And I
Callback to
love
when
when
they're
Tai
fighting
Lung
over the
just
sword
like
thing.
bashes it away because of course he would.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like, yeah, I'm not
But
doing this. I'll look under all of them.
hmm but then you also have that self-fulfilling prophecy of Oogway telling Shifu that Tai Lung's gonna come back, and Shifu's, of course, he's like sends his duck over. He's like, and
Yep.
Oogway is right there. Is like those who try to avoid their destinies are more likely to meet it, and it's like, oh, I know what that's alluding to. And then you have Tai Lung's badass escape scene. So like, there's a lot of really cool foreshadowing and payoffs in
Yeah.
this movie.
Yeah, I love the Shifu and Tai Lung dynamic because it's like you said, those who try to escape destiny often walk down the path, yada yada. And that's absolutely what he does. He is the reason Tai Lung is free, but he's also the reason Tai Lung is evil.
Mhm.
So, sure, we get the big, like, villain defeated, Po is the hero, but we get this really good moment between Shifu and Tai Lung where he's like, I'm sorry, I made you this, I only ever wanted the best for you. And just you get this second of Tai Lung where he's like, oh shit, it's too late now, and he goes in for the kill anyway. But you
Yeah.
get that half a second where he's like, what have I done? But it's too late.
Yeah.
Loved that scene. Shout out to Oogway, by the way. We didn't really mention him. He might be my favorite part of this movie. I love Oogway.
He has my favorite joke in the movie where Shifu goes to talk to him. He's blowing out candles, and he turns to look at Shifu, and then turns to blow out one more candle. It kills me every time.
My favorite line is where Shifu comes up to him and is like, bad news. There is no bad news, only news. Tai Lung escaped. Oh, that is bad news. Unless you think the Dragon Warrior, he's like, it's only bad if you don't, aren't sure in your student. So just do that. So yeah, gonna push back on Austin Hart. I'm actually gonna rank this one number 1 out of 3.
Oh.
Total opposite.
Ooh, that's so funny because I'm right in the middle. I'm putting this at number 2.
Ooh, okay.
I really think this one just wasn't that funny. Like, of the 3, I think it's the least funny.
It's definitely child comedy, but it's not like dumb child comedy. There's still moments I laughed, but the joke, there's no nods and winks for the adults. There's no complexity to the comedy. It's mostly fat jokes. Patrick's right. But there's still a good few moments I laugh at this.
Yep. No, I put it here because, yeah, cool fight scenes, cool villain, really good message, and yeah.
Yep.
What do you think
the
about
message of just like believing yourself?
Which is really a theme that will continue across the entire
but this movie did
series and hopefully into 4. I don't know. We'll get there.
Well,
okay. So moving on to movie number 2, Kung Fu Panda 2. I started us off on one. Somebody else start us off. Patrick, this one's your favorite, obviously. So go ahead.
Yeah, this is I saw this one in theaters as well. This was one I was really hyped for because I liked the first one so much. This is what any good sequel should be. It takes what we love from the first one and then just builds upon that for the second one. The world is bigger, the stakes are much larger. We have that great line, Kung Fu's at stake. What? But I just got it. Like there's a lot more at stake here, and we introduce new characters, we get more of Poe's backstory. Now here's where I'm gonna say Shen is my favorite villain.
Oh, don't say it.
I saw that coming.
Easily.
Saw it coming from a mile away.
Maybe not easily, because it is close, but like I love how paranoid and I love how he moves and his fighting style. Everything about him is just so fun to watch. He's just delightfully evil, and Gary Oldman does a really good job bringing him to life. I think his story is one that's tragic and bad parenting. It's not dissimilar to Tai Lung's story, but it's certainly interesting. And then how he relies on the use of gunpowder and fireworks and cannons like that is super interesting and fun. But yeah, I like the whole. I like Poe's journey throughout this movie quite a bit. I think I like it more than the first one, just a smidge, because it's him accepting where he is, and finding peace with that, knowing that who he thought was his dad isn't actually his real dad, and learning where he comes from and how that shakes him to his core, and he finds peace at the very end, and that's how he's able to do all the canon reflecting, which. I'll go off about that later, I'm sure, but it's obvious that's the final move he's going to pull at the end, but it's like so gratifying when he does it and visually stunning. And yeah, you get a little bit of his dynamic with Tigress, which I don't think we get enough of in these movies, or any of the Furious 5 really, but I do love that dynamic a lot. So this is, no surprise here, this is my number 1.
Austin, you want to go or you want me to?
I do not like Shen. I think he's a bad villain. I think that there's a couple of issues I have. One, he comes out of nowhere in the beginning of the movie, which, I mean, it's, this isn't the cinematic universe. It's whatever. They set up a villain, but I think that my big issue with him is they don't connect it well to the theming that they want with Poe. other than the idea of like not knowing his parents that well and all of that kind of stuff being thrown out, I really don't think it connects on the way that they want. For that, I think that this movie takes the fun of that final fight scene in Kung Fu Panda 1 and really spreads it out over the entire movie. We get a lot of really great action scenes in this one. I think it feels like they kind of found their footing in terms of what they want to do animation wise, fight style wise, and they started to really incorporate more. Kind of like you said, it's larger. It's they move out into China. I think that I've actually laughed at this one, so it's a little bit funnier than the first one. And I think that there's a clear upgrade in the animation, both in like I said, what they do with it, um, and just fidelity and how good it looks. But just story wise, not my favorite. However, still think this one is gonna be 2 on my list. It's a step up from the first one.
The worst part about that take is that 3 is the best movie.
No, 3 is the
Oh,
best.
all right.
Okay, let me move on. Let me take a swing at this. So 1, I rank this my second favorite. This is the middle one for me. I agree with what Austin said. I don't care for Shen as a villain very much. I think he's well acted. Patrick's right. He's beautiful to look at, and his fancy moves where he's like on his tail and stuff. Like he looks
Really cool.
great, but at no point was I threatened by him. Every time he was on screen, I'm like, you are any whiny bitch, and if you weren't hiding behind a gun, you wouldn't be a threat. And the movie tried to make those cannons out to be a lot more threatening than they are. Because 1, they shoot in a single direction and don't rotate easily, and 2, the reload time is like a minute. Okay, just move. 2, you're right. Shen doesn't connect to Poe that much in terms of like being a good counter to him, like Tai Lung was. But at the same time, God, I didn't enjoy him. I hated his existence. I hated his backstory. I hated his motivations. I hated that they tried to duplicate he tried to prevent his own fate and therefore sealed it. It felt so forced. Wow, it's like the guy from Madam Web. It's, man, people are gonna murder me someday. I should murder them first, and then for some reason they want to murder me now. Like, who could have seen that coming? Also, side note, Kung Fu Panda 3 retcons that horribly because his whole genocide on the pandas didn't accomplish anything. They're all fine. I think he got like Poe's mom, but that's it. Everybody
to be
else
fair,
is
there was
cool.
maybe 25 pandas, like in all of China.
And
That's
it's a
accurate,
secret hidden
though.
village. There's plenty of loopholes we can jump through to make that work.
It's
That's
a
not
secret
huge
hidden
retcon.
village that Poe grew up in and was raided. Anywho,
He didn't grow
No,
up there.
different village. Different
stop.
village.
We'll get to that later. We'll get to 3 when we get to 3.
Completely different village.
My next point, though, I despise the end scene with the cannonballs and the deflecting them.
Oh, I love
sure,
that.
he gets the first one, absolutely. And he like, he does his inner piece and he just kind of whirls it away. And that's cool, and I accept that. And sure, like the next 2 and 3, he like not only whirls them away, but he whirls them back at the ships and he blows them up. I buy that. Why not? But by like the 8th cannonball, he's doing flips with it in the air and he's bouncing it like a soccer ball. I'm like, no, this isn't just a thing you caught. You're using its momentum to throw it back at them by redirecting it, but now it's just a fucking toy and you're the cannon yourself. No, that's where I call bullshit. It was cool up until they just started ignoring physics entirely.
Of course, he gets stuck on that.
In the kids' animated movie, he gets stuck on the physics of a fake cannonball.
Listen, that I didn't care for the hyenas. They didn't make much sense to me
They were wolves.
because there's. Oh, that's right. They're
Definitely
wolves.
wolves.
My bad. I keep thinking they're hyenas.
They don't look
hyenas,
like
I'm gonna be
wolves,
honest.
so I'll give you that.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're right though. So I won't hold that against the movie. I didn't really care for all these scenes where Poe had to like do his inner peace thing, and you can see him like get better here, get better there. And somehow that's like clearing up his angst about his past because it was not really established other than verbally and directly he has angst about his past. It didn't come up in any scenes other than the times he had to overcome it. And while we're talking about his past, I hate those flashback scenes. I think that is a
Oh.
very ugly animation style, and I don't think
I
it
was
fits
mixed
well
on
into the
them.
movies.
I do agree that
Like,
I don't think it fits
I
well.
I think we needed flashbacks of Poe, being abandoned as a baby and getting the broader story, but I think that is an ugly interpretation of it.
I think it
Uh,
looks fine.
yeah, all in all, though, I'll give this number two.
After all
In
that, you
my
place it
opinion,
at
yeah,
2.
you just wait till we get to three.
Yeah.
I think it had the worst villain of the series. I think it had some of the cheapest development, but yeah,
Weird.
just wait till we get to three.
No, I like the development. I like his arc with his goose dad. And I really love the moment. I'm a sucker for Everyone Is Here, where they're all jumping off the ship and there's an explosion everywhere, and he's like, "I love you guys." Like, I'm a sucker for that shit. I'm a sucker for that. Just
Oh
bigger and
no!
better than the
Real
first
quick, I gotta throw it out. So while we're having their big kung fu battle at the end, and all the masters like break out of jail and shit, Deus
one.
Ex Machina Shifu just comes in out of nowhere. He's like, "I'm also in
No,
the fight now." He was
listen.
not anywhere the entire movie, and then he shows up at the end because it's a kung fu fight. We gotta have Shifu.
He thought Poe died, so he ran over to see what was up.
Oh,
It's
I'm sure
very
he
loose.
did.
It's very loose,
Uh
and I
huh.
grant
Uh
that
huh.
it would have taken him longer to
Uh huh.
get there.
Uh huh.
But
Again, arguing the logic of a kid's animated movie. Love to see it.
mhm.
There's not logic holes in the first one. They made this standard for themselves.
I disagree, but we don't need to go deep down that hole.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my thoughts on two.
Oh, also, Danny McBride as the Wolf Boss was a treat. I didn't know he was in this movie when I watched it the first time.
I
'Cause I
didn't
didn't
know
know
that
who
was
he
Danny
was.
McBride.
I didn't either.
That's
Shout out
fun.
to that scene in the cannon factory with all of the explosions and everything. That's such a cool scene to watch when they're fighting in there.
Yeah.
They
I
really,
agree.
do some really fun things with animation.
I feel like there was some. Yeah, no, okay, I remember what it was now. So it's not the wolves, because, I thought they were hyenas, but they're wolves. But
Mhm.
the fact that there's gorillas carrying the cannon around for Shen, that's just, like, notably not a Chinese animal.
Like a
Everything.
crocodile is?
There's
Or-
Chinese crocodiles.
What about a rhino?
There's Chinese rhinos.
Well, they're just rhinos and crocodiles. That's all they're listed as.
Yeah, because they're not called Chinese rhinos.
Well,
Listen,
mantis is a Chinese mantis.
Those species exist in that continent. Gorillas just don't. I'm not even counting that as like a plot hole or anything. It's just they had such a strong Chinese theme, and then they were like, and gorillas.
I like the gorillas.
They didn't do anything.
They were menacing.
Okay,
they
come
were
on,
fun. All right, let's move on.
go to 3.
Move on to Kung Fu Panda 3.
You guys
I'll
know
start
I
us
hate
off
fun.
because I'm probably going to be the only one who says this is my favorite. Well, I know that. This is my favorite of the 3. I think just as a series, they've gotten better with each one. I think, again, it's a step up in animation. I think, again, it's even funnier than the last 2 movies. I think that villain is not great. What's his name? Kai, Lai, something like that. I don't know. He's not.
Yeah, I think it's Kai.
But what I think I like most about this movie is it ties its themes into the story the best of the 3 movies by far. I think that 1 does that well, but it's so standard that I don't give it points for that. And I think that this movie has the absolute most fun with what the content that it's putting on the screen. They have lots of fun fights. They do all sorts of cool stuff with the animation. All of the stuff we see with Kai and his like shooty daggers. I don't know what you want to call those.
Blades of chaos.
Yeah. And then like they're in the shadow realm and he blows up, or the shadow realm. What is it called? The spirit realm?
I don't know. Spirit realm, yeah.
Something like that.
It's a shadow realm.
The shadow realm, and he's like, they're blowing up these islands and like everything's going flying all over the place. And then his chi dragon at the end. I just think they have so much fun with it. And I know John doesn't like cheesy, so the cheesy theming of this movie is not going to sit well with him. But in a kid's animated movie, I think it's totally fine, and I really dug it. This one was a lot of fun. Everyone discovering, their inner selves is really, like I said, what this whole series is about, with Poe as the kind of like unusual hero. And I think they do it really well in this one. This one's my favorite.
Mm, mm. Yeah, I see. I put this last on my list, but I do like it a heck of a lot. I like all these movies. I think they're all pretty good. Um, what holds me back, because I do agree largely with a lot of what Austin's saying. I do think that of the three movies, this is the one that was, had that childishness factor up a little too high for me. I love a good, Seven Samurai kind of plot where, hey, we have to train these villagers to fight, this invading force. That's always at least somewhat interesting. But we have a lot of these pandas, a lot of which are just like, hey, I hug good, or hey, we roll really good. It's like it's hard for me to take them seriously and make me believe that they can take down some of the best kung fu masters of history. That being said, they do sell it, enough for me to like go with it. Um, but speaking about those kung fu masters and Kai, I think J.K. Simmons did a really good job as Kai. He finds a note in his character that's different from both Tai Lung and Shen, where he's just trying, no one remembers him, but he was, Oogway's greatest rival, and I like that he's able to tie into, the lore that we already are familiar with in that way. So it doesn't feel as out of nowhere, kind of like Shen does. Um, but I mean, other than that, he's just like, he has a cool fighting style. He's got cool chi powers. That's really all I can say about it. He's not super,
His story is not very deep.
it's
Yeah.
not, yeah. But I do like with every subsequent movie how we're just building onto Poe's arc. It's not just the same thing every movie.
Hmm.
It's like he goes on a quest to become the Dragon Warrior, which is basically, hey, just be you. And the second one was, well, be comfortable with you, find that inner peace. You are who you are, regardless of where you came from. So and then this one is all about well, it's kind of an extension of the second one, really, but it's more so his path to becoming a teacher and trying to help others find out who they are, and I really love that angle. Um, I just think that maybe it doesn't all come together super great by the end, but I still really like it. I think the fights are fun. There are some really good bits throughout here, like when Bryan Cranston betrays Poe and he's talking to his duck dad, and he's like, man, I have to fight that monster. And his duck dad's like, whoa, whoa, he may be evil, but he's still your father. That killed me. But I think where the first two movies got me to tear up and get a little emotional, this one got close but didn't. So I take a little bit of points away from that. But all in all, I still enjoyed my time with this. Still worth my time. Good movie.
So you guys might be surprised to hear this, but I don't hate this one as much as you want me to. I can see Austin sitting there waiting for me to explode on a rant, and I've got some points, but it's not abysmal by any means. So a positive to start it off. I love Poe's biological dad introduction where he's, in the restaurant. And he's like, I'm looking for my son. It's like, I'm looking for my dad. Well, nice meeting you.
Good luck.
There's just that joke plays for me, and every time I see it, I saw it there. They do the same thing. Arrested Development. It's just a good joke, especially with everyone in the audience. Like, guys, are you serious right now? So I'll give him credit for that. I did love the dynamic between Panda Dad and Duck Dad and how they're like, fighting over which one of them is really the stepdad, but at the same time they don't hate each other. So I'll give props to that. And like you guys said, Kai thematically probably the weakest villain. Who is he? He's
Shen
Oogway's
is.
rival brother. What does he want? Power. Why? Because.
Yeah, because, yeah.
But that being said, enjoyed the time he was on
Mhm.
screen. His like knives of death on chains was really cool. His ability to steal people's souls and use that to increase his power, fun ability to have. I think like they definitely didn't just invent chi for this movie, but it really went from this kind of thing to this all-out power source. I don't know how I feel about that.
Fair.
Uh, but that being said, I really there's not too much to hate here until you get to the pandas, and I freaking hated the pandas. Patrick's right. Like, Oh, I hug. Oh, I'm ugly. Oh, I roll. Oh, I'm the girl panda and I do the dance and I'm really annoying.
Okay, no, she's
Like,
the best one. Shut up.
oh god, no, they're all horrible. I
She's like, I'm
hated his
beautiful.
dad. I hated every panda. I hated every second in the village. Like, I mean, it was obvious from the get go, and this isn't a point against them. It's allowed to be obvious that they didn't know how to use chi. But, God, no, no, I just didn't enjoy any of it. I didn't feel like they were bonding. I felt like his dad was kind of slimy. And these pandas all just make me want to drive a school bus into the nearest brick wall. I don't know why. That's the metaphor I went for.
Yeah, that
Um,
was odd.
but where Kai is thematically the weakest villain, I did feel threatened by him. I fully believed he's going to take Tigress and Shifu, and he already got Uguay. You know, he's got all the masters. Everybody's going down one by one. And now our allies we have to fight against. And that's a pretty cool villain, even if there's not a real reason for him to be here or be doing this. So I enjoyed that. But then we get to the climax of the movie, and you know, we spent the past like 4 days training these pandas how to roll down hills really well. So we can probably take out all the kung fu masters who lost to the same kung fu masters they're fighting. Like, are you just telling me the Furious Five could have been bested by any rolling panda they came across? Like, there's.
I mean, they got bested by cannons that move 1 nanometer per like year. So
Yeah, no, those guys. Goddamn, are they even good at kung fu for real? But no, it's
I mean,
just
one of
when
them's
they're
a
beat by
chicken.
the children and the dancing. Like, they make a huge joke out about how the pandas can't run more than 5 feet without getting winded. But we take on every kung fu master in the world at once and we just win.
Mhm.
And then, so after the fight, Poe's in the spirit world, and they just all unlock masterful chi control, and we just have access to that now. Shifu didn't need to train for years and years. Poe didn't need to be taught by them. It's just apparently something you can do if you feel it in your heart.
Hold on, time
It's
out.
just it's such a cheap
I want
victory there.
No, I
hold
don't know
on.
about that.
Stop that for a second. So
Okay.
what was what Poe learned in Kung Fu Panda 1 from the Dragon Scroll?
That you are special, for lack of a fuller explanation.
Okay,
It's like
and
believing yourself.
was that not a real win? Was that thin to you?
No, because
Because that's
movie,
the exact same thing that happened in 3 for all
No.
of them. Exactly.
No.
Period.
No,
dot.
he's right,
Exact.
he's
At the
He's
beginning of the movie, Shifu's like, "Oh, all I can do is make this little flower bloom. I've been training for years." And they just do it, and they just push all of their chi into the spirit world and create the ultimate dragon.
They don't
Every
just
one
do
of
it.
them on the spot. They just do it. There's no
They don't.
training.
No,
They literally explain,
no.
we might have been able to do it in the past, but we don't know it anymore. And they, even the freaking children, just unlock it then and
Hard
there,
disagree.
because that's what the movie needs right now.
No. Because pandas are just inherently good at using their chi. They established that, like you mentioned.
Okay, so why was his duck dad able to do it? Why did Tigress also get at that point? Mantis, everybody there just has masterful chi control, and Shifu's a bitch who spent years learning it when you can just do it.
Just like Poe, they all learn who they truly are, and that's what unlocks their chi.
Okay,
The
so
same
Shifu
thing as the
just
Dragon
didn't-
Scroll.
Shifu just doesn't believe in himself. He
It's
just
not about
doesn't know who
believing in
he is.
yourself. That's something different.
He spent years as a kung fu master. He spent years mastering inner peace. He spent years learning chi, and they just do it.
We watched Shifu get mad for 3 movies straight. He didn't master inner peace. That's his issue.
He absolutely canonically masters it in the second movie. Whether or not it's portrayed in the character, he canonically masters it. I did not like this movie.
So I actually agree generally with John, but the difference is I know that I'm watching a kid's animated movie and I don't care. I just have fun.
No, just because it's for children doesn't mean you can assume they're idiots and you can just give them any cheap
That's not what I said. That's not what I said.
You can't just hand out cheap endings.
Not one. I did not say one of those words. Not a single one. Don't put words into my mouth. All I said was
put lots of things into your mouth.
I can see past stuff, some of the cheesy stuff and the wave your hand stuff, because it's not that deep. It is for kids. So when it has a good message and I enjoy myself, I have fun. I try not to think too hard about them.
Nah, this was bad. You're right though. The action scenes were fun. Kai was at least a fun villain to fight, if nothing else. The stakes were pretty high, but every second the pandas were on screen, I really considered not watching the rest of this movie.
I do think that one thing this movie does better than the last two is it actually shows some stakes in terms of like we watch Poe lose, we watch the Furious Five lose,
Mm-hmm.
and it builds over time. And so I think even though Kai himself doesn't have a great backstory other than just like he worked with Oogway, uh, it makes him actually menacing. Not that Shen was ever supposed to be, because the whole point is he's a little twerp and he's
He's a
just
little
invented
coward.
cannons. Um,
Yeah.
but I do
But
think that's one thing it does well.
Tai
Yeah.
Lung does it too. He beats the Furious Five and escapes from prison and beats Shifu before Poe finally steps in.
But I think the
No, he's
difference is that we get like, because the first movie, right, is all about him becoming the Dragon Warrior. It's the fact that he prevails where the Furious Five doesn't. Whereas in this movie, the Furious Five fail, then he fails, and then we get his victory at the end after he loses and realizes what he's doing wrong. And I think that's what gives it another level in terms of the storyline there.
hmm
And then, like, this isn't necessarily a knock against the movies, it's the nature of the beast. The Furious Five kind of suck,
Oh,
right?
big time.
Like, have they
Yeah.
ever achieved a victory on screen, or are they just there to wait for the Dragon Warrior?
No,
Yeah. No, I'm
they're
right
just
there with
there
you.
waiting for destiny.
Pretty much.
But shout out to Poe as the Chi Dragon. That was awesome. I really hope it comes back in 4.
It happened. It was on the screen.
It was so much fun.
Made a lot of sense too, if you
I
ask
liked
me.
I liked the color aspects of it, where it goes from Kai's like jade color scheme to like the golden yellow of Poe's chi. I like that a lot. I will give props to that. Also, I did. John mentioned it, but the resolution between the dads was actually really poignant. I did really
Yeah.
like that
No,
scene.
I'll give him points there. I'm not an asshole on this. It had its moments. It really did.
I was trying to remember my other favorite jokes. There were two jokes that stuck out to me,
Oh,
and
I'm sorry.
the
One sec.
second one.
So yeah, I got that. One joke they had that I loved, and I wish they kept going instead of just using it twice and then, yeah. Kai's whole thing where he's like, Kai the Conqueror, Kai the
Chit
Warlord, like
chat.
it, and everyone's like, who?
Ooh.
Like we only did that twice, and then Poe hears it, and he's like, "Oh, you're Kai the this and that," and like it's a fine payoff, but I really wish we just kept it going. And like I don't know, I've studied all the Kung Fu masters, I've never heard of you.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a pretty good bit.
See, I didn't love that bit. My second other favorite joke though was when they're like, Poe, you're gonna have to teach all these pandas how to fight before Kai gets here. He's like, what? You expect me to teach? I can't teach. I had to teach the Furious Five how to do kung fu, and I failed. And they know kung fu. So anyway,
The part that did it
good
for me
movie.
with that one is Tigress in the background just giving the head nod, like, yeah, he can't do
Yep. The
this.
subtle
Yeah.
head nod. She's just like, yeah, he's 100% correct there. Not good.
But yeah,
Anyway,
all in all, 1, 2, 3 gets worse every movie.
weird.
Disagree.
2, 1, 3. All really good though. I don't
I
hate
think
any
they're
of them.
all good or better.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
I'll say 3 is passable at worst. It's not outright bad. It is a serviceable movie. Just leaned a little heavy on the kid stuff.
Yeah, and that's the only thing that holds me back from loving it. Well, that's not true. It's still really good. Never mind. I'll shut up.
But guys, those are our thoughts on Kung Fu Pandas 1 through 3. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you know when our Kung Fu Panda 4 review comes out. That'll be sometime in the next few days here. So, guys, anticipation for the movie, what are you expecting? Love it? Like it? Hate it? Where are we at? I'm thinking not that good. I'm expecting to go into this and see a bad movie.
I'm
I was
excited
expecting. Yeah.
I'm excited.
it.
I'm excited that Tai Lung is coming back. That's cool. I'm also concerned because it's been 8 years since the last movie, so I'm not really sure why we're coming back. Other than money, but I don't have high expectations for kids movies, so I just kind of go in and have fun, and I expect if it's not bad that I will enjoy myself at a minimum.
Freak.
Mm. Yeah, no, learning this was happening, looking at some of the trailers and stuff they've released, I was like, I'm gonna keep my expectations low, but early buzz has been pretty positive, so I'm going in, still keeping my hopes at a 50 out of 100. We'll see.
All right. Guys, there you have it. Be sure to check back for that review coming at you in the next few days, and we will see you then.
Skadoosh.